I've got one word for you guys today, and that word is Parke. With an E on the end. 48 hours ago, I had never heard of this brand in my life. But all of that changed when I saw this video. And I swiftly fell down a rabbit hole of oversized sweaters and some suspicious allegations.
Can someone please explain to me what is going on and why people are going absolutely crazy for whatever this is at Target?
People running like lunatics through Target for something? This smells like a situation to me.
After learning about what the company is, I think we need like a clinical study done about, why people are so obsessed with this. People are spending $130 on a sweatshirt with someone else's last name on it. I guess I'm confused because I don't know who this girl is. And, the material of like the sweatshirt itself, it's nothing that's like unique or different. And I'm on the website and I love how this is a final sale and that they are not accepting any exchanges or returns because probably by the time like you wake up and realize you were spending $130 with someone else's last name on your sweatshirt, you're like, I want to return this.
Got up at 7 a.m. for the Parke drop. Here's the vlog. 7:50 and there is a line with Target security. Okay, let's see what's left.
Also, Mom, I got your large toe.
Oh, there's a little mini toe right there.
Look at these people absolutely like scrambling for this stuff. I can't lie, I find these videos really entertaining, just watching people like go crazy over trying to get something from a store. I just find it really funny when people are down to act like zoo animals just to get their hands on something.
805. This is what is left. 805 on this side. What's left? Grace just found me the claw clip. I promised Eric I would get.
Is that a branded claw clip? Okay.
I wish they had these pants in every stripe. These are so cute. Here it is with the top.
How can I put this nicely? It looks like a lined sheet of paper.
Here are the shorts. Someone put back a medium of these. So 4th of July, Memorial Day. The top's a little big. Here's the haul. We're getting the claw clip and the pants.
So Parke is not a new brand. I'm bringing this situation to you today because the Parke Target collab just got released like 2 days ago. And this is something that I've come across before. A brand will come out with a Target collab where they release a selection of clothes only in Target stores for way cheaper than their regular clothes. From what I can see, usually Parke sweaters cost about £100, which is about 140 USD, 12,700 INR, or about 188 Australian dollars. The Target collab sweaters, which are visually very similar, cost, I believe, about $40. So way less than the original prices. So with Parke seemingly being a very popular brand over in the US, it is no surprise that people are walking to grab these clothes. Now, you might be thinking, what's so special about this situation? It is just another clothing brand that people are going crazy over. It's probably just another case of like classic TikTok herd mentality. People have always gone crazy over clothes with words on them. I'm pretty sure half of my wardrobe when I was 13 had either the words Hollister or Jack Wills plastered all over. So when I see people being like, why are people buying a sweater with somebody's name on it? I'm like, that should not be a surprise to you at this point. People will buy anything if it makes them look cool. Doesn't matter what's on it. However, when I dug a little deeper into this brand, a couple of things caught my eye. Taking a look at this Forbes article, it's titled From Pop-Ups to Sellout Drops, the Storytelling Power Behind Parke's Rise. And it features an interview with Chelsea Kramer, who is Parke's founder. Now, Chelsea Kramer's full name is Chelsea Parke Kramer. Her middle name is Parke, so that's where the Parke comes from. So a little bit into this article, it says, the frenzy isn't just look, it's a perfect storm of product design, branding, storytelling, and community. And Parke has pulled it off without spending a single dollar on paid media. So what I'm hearing here is that Parke has never done paid advertising. They have never forced their way onto your screens via TikTok or Instagram ads. And all of this hype has come from word of mouth, which is kind of a flex, actually. The brand apparently relies on consistency with their launches, always hyping things up on a set schedule so that Parke fans know when to expect their new products. It's all about creating anticipation and habit, supposedly. And there is a lot in this article about how Parke's success is built on trust and transparency. Now, I had a bit of a dig around Parke's website, and there isn't much here apart from the usual, we make good quality clothes that last and are also timeless and elevated, and our clothes are made to be worn on repeat. I mean, yeah, clothes are supposed to be worn on repeat. But I took a quick look at their returns and exchange policy, and as this creator mentioned, it is very strange. So they don't offer refunds at all. However, they do offer exchange exchanges or store credit. That's helpful. Oh, but the following items aren't eligible for return, exchange, or store credit: sweatshirts, sweats, fleeces, graphic tees, sunglasses, pre-orders, pop-up purchases, or sale items. So basically everything they sell. I don't know if this is normal practice for certain clothing brands. I've definitely never seen a returns policy like this before, and I would definitely be extra cautious of buying something that I could not return or exchange, but maybe that's just me. So feel free to let me know in the comments if this returns policy seems weird to you, because it definitely seems a little strange to me. However, perhaps it's more common than I realize, or maybe it's a more common thing for smaller businesses in the US. Finding out I can't return my $500 order from Parke. Caption says, return policies like this should legit be illegal. Taking a look at the comments, somebody said we should not be supporting a brand that offers no exchanges on such expensive items ever. Now you know. This person said, to be fair, they do have that everything is final sale in multiple places on their site, including checkout. Mind you, all this hype over polyester. Oh. Somebody said, a tiny company I understand, as long as they try to make it extremely clear what the sizing is, but they are definitely a big enough company to start offering returns. Yeah, I mean, if you have a whole collab with Target, then I don't know, that seems a little strange to me. This person says, Parke has created hype because of their small drops and elitist mentality. All you're doing by wearing a Parke sweatshirt is saying, look, I overpaid for a cheaply made sweatshirt. Anyone who purchases from these white label influencer brands should know that they are paying top dollar for bulk, pre-made, cheap synthetic fabrics that are customized after the fact for exorbitant, overinflated prices. Oh, that's a harsh one. I've bought 2 Parke sweatshirts and ended up selling both because the quality is not something I'd pay even $50 for, much less over $100. Anyway, back to this article. So I read on a little more and I saw this. In April, a TikTok user accused Parke of white labeling items sourced from Alibaba. Now, these claims of white labeling are also something we saw being mentioned in the comments on the previous video. Now, I'm gonna be so for real with you guys. I did not know what white labeling meant when I read this. I've heard the word being thrown around in discussions of unethical clothing brands and manufacturing, so I guess it's time for me to find out. Let's refer straight to the source, an account called Sustainable Fashion Friend on TikTok, who I believe could be the TikTok user referenced in this article. Let's take a look at the video description before we begin. I'm gonna need my glasses for this. It says, let's talk about Parke, the influencer brand selling $120 sweatshirts with somebody else's middle name on them. They say they're all about transparency and community, but they don't say where the clothes are made, don't offer returns, and removed their sustainability page. Ooh. I found their likely supplier on Alibaba via Chelsea Kramer's TikTok videos, which lines up with their 6 to 8 week pre-order timeline. That means mass production overseas with a huge markup for a bit of customization. If she really cared about the brand and what it stands for, she'd show the full process. The factory, the workers, their names, the wages, the conditions. A lot of influencer brands and brands in general sell storytelling instead of real quality and transparency. They'll call something sustainable, intentional, or unique when it's really a $15 hoodie from a factory they'll never name nor visit and deny when they get connected to it. Don't let branding trick you into thinking something is more ethical, more exclusive, more heartfelt, or more valuable than it actually is.
You guys asked me to investigate Parke, and I guess people are literally throwing their money for these limited time drops to get a sweatshirt that has her middle name on it for at least $120. And her sister, who is also the COO of the company, says that they could probably sell their customers garbage bags. And since a lot of the articles about Parke are talking about how transparent the brand is, I thought it would be pretty easy to figure out where the clothes are made. If you go to Parke's website, you aren't going to see where the clothes are made. They won't even say if it's imported or even the country it came from. And when you look up her LLC and import records, nothing is going to pop up, which means that I had to go into private investigator mode and watch her TikToks. And in some of the videos, she's showing like her samples and things. And I'm not sure if she knows that like you can pause a TikTok video. So here I did, and I found an address and I think the website of a possible supplier of hers. If you Google the address and the website that was listed there, you'll find Qingdao Yichong. And in another one of her videos, I found this, and this looks like a document regarding a garment sample. And if you look really closely, you can see like the address. It has like a dot. Alibaba.com.
This is some top tier investigating. I like it.
If you don't know what Alibaba is, it's basically a website you can use to like get into contact with garment manufacturers and basically start your own fashion line without actually doing the manufacturing yourself. And it looks like Chelsea really loves Alibaba because on her like day in the life videos, Alibaba tabs are always on the computer.
Let this be a lesson, my friends. If you're posting vlogs, day in the life videos, just be a little careful about what you're showing on your computer screens or in the background background of your videos, any receipts, any paperwork, because even showing a glimpse of those things can tell people a lot about the things that you might be doing.
If we look at their Alibaba page, you might find some familiar things, like this boyfriend button down that Parke sells for $110. You can find something very similar to this on that supplier's Alibaba page, and look at the prices. We can also look at this long sleeve denim shirt on Parke. They want to sell it for $175. Mind you, it's not even organic cotton. You can find a very similar version for these prices if you wanted to order in bulk. Or these striped boxer pants for $100. Well, you can find very similar pants for this wholesale price from the same manufacturer that I found on documents in her video.
Very interesting. So this creator, Sustainable Fashion Friend, who posts a lot of really great videos about lots of different brands, by the way, is claiming that they found some very suspicious similarities between these cheap Alibaba bulk bought clothes and Parke's own clothing designs, insinuating that Parke is perhaps sourcing their clothes from Alibaba, buying them in bulk for cheap prices, slapping a Parke label on it, and then selling those clothes for hundreds of dollars. And that, I have discovered, is white labeling. When a manufacturer, like the ones that you can find on Alibaba, creates a generic product that can be bulk bought for relatively cheap by another brand, the brand will then put their own label on that product and sell it for a huge profit. This means that the brand doesn't have to do any of their own creating or manufacturing. They have these ready-made products that they can just buy in bulk, slap a label on it, and call it theirs. And this isn't just a thing in clothing either, it's cosmetics, things like makeup, household appliances, even furniture.
People don't realize that many of the products that they see nowadays are white labeled products. White labeling means that it comes from the same factory and all the brand has to do is change the name. So for example, this is the Claudia woven chair from Urban Outfitters and it costs $750. And then this is the Gia chair from Scout and Nimble and it's only $505. But to me, they look exactly the same. This is just one example, but this happens all the time. Almost every product you see on is white labeled.
So now I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what white labeling is. Let's go back and have a look at some of the comments on Sustainable Fashion Friend's Parke deep dive video. Somebody said, my Valentine pink Parke sweatshirt came in a few days ago, and when I opened it, about 5 little gnat bugs fell out. Oh. Somebody else said, this is why branding is more important than the product itself in this circumstance. And that's very true. I feel like people don't really care about the clothes or the design of the clothes in this instance, because let's be honest, this is not, you know, it's not groundbreaking fashion, but people are buying into the story of this brand. They're buying into Chelsea Kramer, who is an influencer. They're buying into the brand's authenticity and trustworthiness. That's what people are willing to spend the money on. Somebody said, I'm gonna be so for real. I love my Parke sweatshirt, but this is eye-opening. Oh my gosh, can you find where they source their jeans? And the creator replied, I found the jeans supplier. I'll make a video tomorrow. We gotta go take a look at that.
So if you look in the corner down here, you'll see just a little page, a little something. Looks like the name of a supplier. Per usual, Alibaba pops up at the top. So it looks like the supplier is mainly focusing on denim. Interesting. And here's some pictures of what it looks like inside of the factory. But I don't know, she'll probably never post those pictures. Might not match the vibe. But it says here in this like really tiny text that Parke decided to take denim manufacturing into their own hands in 2024. Which if I remember correctly, I think that's actually deceptive designer talk for these people are actually going to make your clothes for very cheap. We're going to sell them for around $200 a pop, but we're actually going to buy them in really large quantities at this price. Even like her sister-in-law said in this quote that basically they can make whatever they wanted. It could be garbage bags and people would buy them. Gross.
That garbage bag comment is really coming back to bite them in the you-know-what. I feel like a lot of brands make this mistake where they build up this really like cult-like following where they have an audience of people who really love the products and, you know, they'll pay quite a lot of money for these products. These brands can then sometimes turn around and just go, oh my gosh, everybody loves us so much. We could sell you dirt in a bag and you'd probably buy it. I mean, yeah, probably. It just comes across as so like unappreciative for that audience that you've built up. And when you start making comments like that saying we could sell you a garbage bag if we really wanted to, it kind of makes it sound like you're gonna try. Probably not the best thing to say as a growing business.
They also said that their core values are sustainability, community, and transparency, even though there's really no mention about garment workers, their living wages, or even environmental sustainability on their website or their social media.
And yeah, this is absolutely true. I went onto Parke's website to try and find out, you know, a little bit about the brand, its core values, how they began, their manufacturing processes, just anything that could give me a bit of an idea of what goes on behind the scenes. But all they really have on the story part of Parke's website is just kind of like a load load of rambling about how good the brand is. Anyway, let's take a look at some comments, shall we? Girl, I'm worried they will start censoring their vids so you can't investigate so easily. I mean, yeah, that would be smart of them. Somebody said, okay, so she runs a business and sources her stuff from multiple manufacturers, like many of your favorite big brands do. So what is the actual issue? 95% of people here have no idea how North American retail businesses operate. There isn't anything unusual about this. Everyone operates this way. Alibaba is just where businesses list their factories. And this reply here says the issue is that she lies about how it's sourced and made. This person said when brands are environmentally or socially conscious, they post about it in detail. And this is very true. Normally when brands are, you know, really good about sourcing their things ethically and having ethical manufacturing processes, they go on about it quite a lot because it's a big deal, because so many brands do source their things unethically. So to have a brand like Parke who are like, yeah, we're so trustworthy, we're so transparent, but like, where's the transparency? You know, you can't just say you're transparent and then not be transparent. It's like, come on, if you're gonna have this claim of being something, then at least back it up. Someone said, I don't understand the controversy here. This is how garment production works. Just because something is produced in China doesn't mean it's unethically made. Also, ethical production is a fallacy to begin with. And somebody replied, it's about the fake advertising. They make it seem like it's designer from first to last stage, but they just buy ready-made cheap clothes and slap a label on it. Exactly, basically fast fashion. And Sustainable Fashion Friend replies, right? Even their About Us page says fast fashion basics weren't cutting it. So it sounds like that's the big thing here. White labeling is apparently not a rare thing. And commenters are pointing out that lots of fashion brands do this exact same thing and nobody seems to kick up much of a fuss. But as some of the replies have said, it's more about the transparency. Parke seems to really pride itself in being different from other brands. They're transparent, they don't do paid ads, they've built an audience purely on trust. Those values seem to be the pillars of the brand, and that's the story that we're being sold here. But then where is that transparency when it comes to the manufacturing of these clothes? In fact, Sustainable Fashion Friend actually found another article where Chelsea Kramer apparently denied sourcing their products from Alibaba.
In an interview with the Business of Fashion, she says, we do everything, we produce all of our products.
And I want to believe her. I want to believe she's telling the truth. But how can we when there seems to be so much evidence pointing in the direction of white labeling and little to no proof given by the Parke brand to disprove these claims?
The proof that was apparently given to defend themselves for not being associated with Alibaba was the fact that they had fabric swatches, design sketches, and fitting photos. Okay, remember that? Well, look who just popped up in import records. And it looks like she's been importing mock neck sweatshirts and sweatpants and hoodies. And on their Alibaba page, the manufacturer claims that they produce around 3 million pieces a year, which definitely matches to a fast fashion output, even though Parke's About Us page implies that what they're making is going to be better than fast fashion basics. This manufacturer is definitely operating on a fast fashion level. Yes, you can find ethical suppliers on Alibaba, but the ones that I'm seeing here, they are not showing any proof or evidence of that.
So yeah, as we mentioned, the issue here isn't just the white labeling itself, it's a brand that has built a cult following around supposedly being better than fast fashion and being trustworthy and transparent. But if people are then digging up suppliers through public import records that seem to suggest otherwise, it's not a good look. However, we are working with allegations here. Parke have denied these allegations in interviews. However, they seem to continue to lack transparency regarding their actual manufacturing processes. So who knows? Anyway, if you search up Parke on pretty much any social media platform, you'll find plenty of videos of people really loving these clothes, so many different variations of this sweatshirt, and it seems like people don't really care that they have the same sweatshirt as literally everybody else. But there are also a few videos about issues with things like quality. This video in particular discusses the collapse of the, I believe it's called a mock neck sweater.
To all the people who didn't understand what I was saying when I was saying that the collar was collapsing, do you see now? Do you see this flaccid collar? This should never happen on a sweatshirt. That's God. How much is that sweatshirt? $150?
There are also people who have said they've had issues with delivery times, issues with Parke releasing a new collection, I believe the Valentine's Day collection this was about. People literally purchasing these items and then receiving an email weeks later saying, yeah, sorry, we actually ran out of those and we're not gonna ship it to you. So yeah, plenty of mixed opinions on social media about this brand. But anyway, this whole thing is only relevant right now because of Parke's Target collab that came out a week ago. Bringing those products to Target with a far lower price tag does make the brand more accessible, and you'll probably start seeing more people walking around with the word Parke plastered across their chests. So now you know all about the Parke situation. I want to end by giving a big shout out to sustainable fashion friend whose real name is Abby. Abby's Parke deep dives have carried today's video and provided us with some really interesting insight and some really in-depth research into Parke's possible manufacturers and white labeling processes. Thank you so much for watching, and I already have another situation video lined up for next week, so I'll see you then. Bye!